this is Mia from Sibyl's Tarot. Welcome to day 18 of 31 Days of Tarot by Ethany. And today's topic is, what have you learned from tarot in the past year? So one of the things that I have learned in my tarot practice is that sometimes the message is like much simpler than we think. I'm sharing this because I think it can be actually useful for other people. And the thing is, for instance, sometimes you have some cards on the table that you look at them and they look at you, you feel that this is making no sense, or you feel that the querent is not making sense of the cards themselves. So one thing that I have learned is that sometimes it is not about the card itself, it is not about the meaning of the card, but it is about the cards that are on the table. Okay, so sometimes, for instance, you may have some cards like, what can I say, like you have a 5 of Cups, for instance, okay, on the table, and you start telling your querent, oh, I see that you have gone through some kind of emotional loss, that you are grieving, that you are whatever you want, like me, you're interpreting like 5 of Cups, okay? But the querent looks at you and they say, no, that this has not happened or whatever. But then you realize that there are 2 other 5 cards on the table, okay? And perhaps that can be something that goes unnoticed, like you can have this and the 5 of Pentacles and the Hierophant. And then you realize that there are 3 cards with number 5 in your reading, and you say, oh, okay, so what the cards are telling me is that this querent is going through a very challenging time, for instance, okay, or chaotic time. Like you realize that it is not about the cards, it is about number 5 and its meaning. Okay, so like these are the kind of things that I meant with making things simpler. Or for instance, you have a reading full of major arcana and almost no minors, and you realize that this is something weird, and perhaps like rather than the meaning of card after card, we are speaking about a situation that has huge relevance in the life of the querent, that the decisions that the querent makes now are going to impact their life in the long term, that this has karmic or spiritual implications, whatever. But like, what I mean with this is that sometimes it is not about interpreting the cards per se, but interpreting like the whole circumstance of your spread. Okay, so you can find this kind of messages that go uncovered and can make the difference between a reading that makes no sense whatsoever, or interpreting the cards in a way that is not the usual way in which you would do it, but is opening up more questions. So as a final tip about this thing that I have learned is that perhaps that reading is just meant to communicate you the core issue, and then I was thinking about my querent and I, but you as the reader, you can be the one who then picks up the card and start reading about different questions that can add on the matter, and probably these questions will work like as usual. So this is not something that happens very often, but I have found it to be quite true. Like sometimes if you have a reading that makes no sense, try to look for patterns, or for the way in which the cards interact with each other, the elemental presence. Like if you have a reading full of wands and pentacles and swords, but there are no cups, think about it. Or if you have a lot of cups in a reading that is about love, but they are like the bad cups, or like 5 of Cups and 8 and 7 like think about the numbers, think about the general vibe or the nuance of the card, think about the elements, and you will be able to make a reading that doesn't make sense a brilliant reading, and to learn how to pay attention to different things. So this has been it. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.